doing today, I thought I'd just recap what I did on the Urban Sketch meetup that I went yesterday, because a lot of people have said, oh, I'd love to see what you used and what you did. So here it is. Let me sit down and get comfy and we'll crack on. So let's start with the things that I didn't take. I did not end up taking this double screw cap water container. I ended up thinking it was just a little bit too small for the amount of time that I was away or out for the day, so I didn't take this with me in the end. I also didn't take the large, well, the A5 art creation sketchbook in the end. I decided it was too much weight because we were walking to the station about 20 minutes, then we were on the train, and then we were walking around, and I didn't want to be carrying too much. And for that reason, I also did not end up taking this, but that was a mistake. I ended up having to sit on the floor on a canvas bag that I'd taken with me, a light canvas bag, and I got a numb bottom quite often. So next time I will leave stuff out in order to take this. It is, as I said, quite weighty, but it's also comfortable, so I think it is essential to take this. So I did take this and I didn't use it at all, mostly because of the environment I was in. I just felt, because I hadn't taken something to sit on, I ended up just putting stuff on my legs, on my lap, so I didn't end up needing this either, but I would take it again, and I will take it again. This clip I used. My water brush pen I didn't use, more on that in a moment. I am going to show you the bits that I did, but I just wanted to take you through stuff first. So let's get this one out of the way because it's quite bulky, and my cat has reappeared as she did yesterday. Again, didn't use this. I used this is the water pot that I ended up taking with my big canister of water, pouring it in, and then I had a plastic container, like a lightweight one, to pour the remnants into, the wastewater. This was nice and handy because it's quite light as well. I forgot I had this. It was a last minute addition. I suddenly remembered that it was in my like little outdoor easel thing. Did not use this. I really wanted to get it out because I'll put photos on the screen. There was a lot of things to look at. We sat by the water and this would have been really handy, but I felt self-conscious. I didn't want to come across as, I don't know, I just felt really self-conscious. So I didn't use this. And in the same regard, I didn't use the tripod and film anything using the tripod because, again, I felt really self-conscious. Part of the reason is because everyone just focused on one piece of work the whole time, whereas I was flicking through different sketchbooks, working in different sketchbooks, so I felt really self-conscious. I did use this to spritz my water. I did not use the oil pastel, even though I really wanted to. I forgot. I did use this palette. I used it for the one in the square book, and then I did use the Inktense block. Again, I'll show you what I did with those. This was really handy because I literally just had it in front of me, and then I could grab what I wanted when I wanted it. I could see. So I might incorporate this in a different way. It might be that actually it's handier to have my acrylic markers in there so I can see quickly what I'm looking for. I'm gonna experiment with this again. I showed you this yesterday with my acrylic markers. I ended up using, I might actually forget which ones I used. This is why I needed to do this today quickly before I forget. Somebody commented and said, oh my gosh, it holds so much, and it really does. It could be its own little kit in its own right, actually, rather than acrylic markers. So I ended up using, oh gosh, this one, this one, this one, this one. Definitely used these four because I remember getting yellow everywhere. Don't think I used any others. I'll have to double check, but I think I only used these four. But let me come back to you on that. Then we have the Neo colors. I definitely used these, but I didn't use them so much when I was with everybody else. I did start to, but then we ran out of time. We had to go, we went on like a break to meet up with everyone else and look at everyone's work before we went back to it again. And I just started using this when someone came over and was talking to me, and then we went on a break and I was like, ah. I ended up using these for a separate drawing, which I'll show you in a minute. But I loved having these with me. Somebody in the comments of my last video suggested I take either these or the Inktense block to save on weight, and I understand the reasoning behind that, but I don't want to do that yet. That's the great thing about yesterday. It was a really good opportunity for me to try different materials across different sketchbooks to see what I liked, because we were just sat in the one space for all that time. Okay, let me show you tool wrap and what I used. I loved having this. I was able to put it on my lap, sitting cross-legged, and then I would have my sketchbook resting on it, which was really handy. I'm hoping I haven't lost the sailor pen, because I had the sailor pen here and then I couldn't find it. Oh no, it's in here. I was using this to begin with, but then it kept getting really scratchy and I realized it had run out of ink and I forgot to check. See, there's no ink left in it, so I've got to fill it up. Thankfully I had my Gouache as well, but I was really getting in the flow of using this to do like a scratchy ink drawing. Use the pencil sharpener, use the Gouache, and I didn't use, I don't think, oh no, I did use the yellow for something. I'll have to go and check. I used this yellow. I think this is New Gouache. Actually, I got this out to show you. No, it's Indian yellow. yeah, Schmincky's Indian Yellow. I never showed you this the other week. I forgot to come back and show you, but this was the mini palette. So you can see from there's quite a lot of multi-pigmented, well, they're all multi-pigmented. Some have 3, some have 2. And I have been loving this little kit. You can see I have been using it, but I don't think I used it for anything other than the yellow yesterday, but I'd have to double check. As an FYI, my cat is just outside my room glaring at me because she wants me to go play. Okay, so these 2 cloths, I didn't end up using them because I had the bucket of water and I just rested my paintbrush across here. I only used 1 paintbrush and it was the Tintoretto. I think because of the size of the sketchbooks I was working in, so I didn't need anything bigger. And I had water in here, it was next to me, and I just rested my paintbrush on the side. So that worked really well. Then I think I did use pretty much all of the Tombos at some point. Maybe the yellow I didn't, but everything else I used, and I used these more neutral colors too. I only used the watercolor pencils after the urban sketching session had finished, and I went for dinner with David and I just added a little bit of color. Didn't use the graphite pencils at all. The only one I used was very briefly this one to sketch something, just to get my head around something. I did use both of the water soluble neo colors that are in here, and I used a selection of the pencils. The pencils are a winner. I love color pencils and I love neo colors. That's what I've managed to ascertain from this. Next time, I used these quite heavily, the black and the 2 indigo blues. Next time I would probably leave the watercolor pencils at home, or I might just put a kit together that just has watercolor pencils and a couple of other bits so I can practice working with them. So to summarize, this worked really well, but I could leave the watercolor pencils at home and I could leave the graphite pencils at home. I don't need all of those, but I kind of knew that yesterday when I was putting the kit together. What did I actually do while I was there? Let me show you. I'll set this to one side. Some of you have actually purchased the pattern. I saw orders coming in yesterday when I was out. So if you have and you have any questions, please do just hit reply on the emails that you get and I'll be able to help you out. There will be a video going up showing the construction process on my business channel, but I haven't finished editing it yet. Okay, the art. So first one I did was this one, and we were there, so we were sat in the same place basically for about 5 hours, I think 4.5 hours. This one I did about an hour on, and I was really enjoying it and loving it until I stopped after an hour to move on to the next one, and then I came back to it later and I hated it. I did like the little slide. I didn't like, oh, and I liked these like grasses, but I didn't like the way that I'd used the Tombow brush pens. I didn't like how much white space there was on the page. I don't know that I like white space. I'm not sure yet. So then the second hour, I started over here with my Fudo pen. Actually, it was around here. Somebody came and talked to me and I ended up putting windows in the roof by accident. That was a little bit cross, but hey ho. And then I carried on with my Sailor pen when my Fudo stopped working. And towards the end, I was like, oh, it's nice, but let me put color on to see how I like it. And that's when I used this kit, my big watercolor set, and I was nervous because other people were there, and yeah, I was chuffed to get 2 pages done in the first 2 hours. However, we then went and met and everyone put their work down on the bench and photos were taken and we could look at each other's work. I'm just gonna have a sip of coffee. At that point I was like, oh, everyone's just focused on one thing. Oh, I feel awkward now. But I didn't want to use this paper again. I wanted to use my little sketchbooks. So when we went back down to the water, I did a kind of double page spread, and I'll put the photos on the screen so you can see this view. This one I did, I think I posted this one on my Instagram as well. So for this one, I used the Inktense blocks and I worked from the top to the bottom. So I put the blue in first, looking at the shapes of the roofs. Then I went in and did the roof section, leaving space for the green trees. And I worked my way down. And then I put the greenery in, and then I went in with my dark indigo luminance pencil, and I was like scratching in shapes. And after I did this, I think this one took me 40 minutes. After I did this, I hated it. There was something about it I didn't like, but people had come up and said, oh, muy, which is like beautiful, something in Dutch. This is wrong. These windows are wrong. This white space isn't supposed to be here, but I do like this amount of white space. Like, there's just a lot of errors in this, but there's lots of little bits I really like. The way that I've done the edge of the tiling on the sides, the edge of the brickwork. There are so many things about this that I do like. However, at the time I was like, nope, don't like it. Then in the last 20 minutes-ish, it must have taken me longer than that because we were there for so long. Anyway, so this was Derwent Inktense blocks and pencil. Then I decided, actually, I'm gonna do acrylic markers for the next one. So for each of them, I'd used different materials. We had the Tombow brush pens and pencils, the platinum ink with my fountain pen and watercolor, the Derwent Inktense blocks and a color pencil, single color pencil. Although I did go in after and add some Neocolor and green pencil. And then this was acrylic marker because I was like, well, if I've used different mediums, different materials for each one so far, let me try this one as well. And you can see what I said yesterday about the yellow in this yellow Posca, like when you push down, so it wasn't coming out properly, and I pushed it again and it just flooded, so I just smushed it over. So I did use the little blue one actually, this one, because I can see it here, and I used the green, and this is actually the grey, so I did use that one on the roofs, smudging. This is all the orange, but just below here you can see the beige, and I really love it. Well, it's interesting because I really loved this one at the time. I wanted to get some like contrasting under the bridge that was a different color, and I was loving it. I was loving it so much. Then we went and we took photos, and I had this, and then we had this, and then I was showing it to David over dinner, and I was like, I think I prefer this. And I think it's the white space of these that I like so much against the dark, the oranges and the greens. I know I don't like this. At the time, I thought it was great. Let me bring it closer. At the time, I thought it was lovely. Now I don't like it. I feel like, even though I spent an hour, over an hour on this, I think, and it's just not doing it for me. The same with this one. I've always loved the idea of pen and ink, but I don't like a lot of detail in the pen and ink. You can see where I started adding some of the Neocolor and some of the watercolor pencils, just a little bit for the flowers here. Maybe if I continue on it, maybe if I put some blue in the sky, which I haven't done yet, maybe then I'd like it. I don't know. I'm not sure. I do like all the different lines work that I've got going on to depict different things, but I don't know. It's not shouting out to me, whoa, or yay, I enjoyed that. So, Whereas these ones, I keep coming back to them and being like, yeah, they're so cool. And looking at it this morning, I'm like, what is it about it? I think it's the fact that it's the format. It's a really long landscape format. I think that it's so busy. You've got the trees, you've got splodges of different color greens for the trees and the bushes. It's the dark navy luminance pencil for the line work. It's the texture coming through from the Inktense blocks. Can you see here? I like the way that it disperses, and here as well. There's just something about this one that I really like. But at the same time, I really, really, really love how I can, and maybe this is why I need to spend more time working with color pencils by themselves to blend them. Like this is over the acrylic marker. I love the illustrative style, but I don't like it when it's just completely flat acrylic marker. It's not so interesting to me. So can I get this effect without having to put the acrylic marker down? Or is the acrylic marker helping me to be looser in doing that? And like the lily pads as well. And then there's this one. Okay, I can't remember what I was saying. I got interrupted, sorry. I think it was this. So we sat down and had dinner, and there was a windmill in one direction. And I started doing this with Neocolors, but then David spilled his water all over me and on my Neocolors, and I just thought I can't be doing with this, so I quit while I was ahead. Thankfully I hadn't gone on my sketchbook. I don't know that I like Neocolors just by themselves. I think I prefer them on top of stuff. So it was really interesting doing the day. I didn't join them for a drink and chat afterwards because David was waiting for me all day and I felt bad leaving him for so long. I'll definitely be going again. I've been chatting with one of the co-organisers on Instagram, and I did say how much I enjoyed it and that I would be going again. Sometimes they just do it around the town where I live, sometimes it's a little bit further afield. What was really interesting is two things. The first is that everybody just worked on one piece, whether it was working with oil. Somebody had brought a canvas, somebody had brought like a board and they were doing oil on the board. There was a canvas that they were prepping, this other person. Other people had just one page in a sketchbook that they did line work and then painted it really detailed watercolor painting. Another person just did pencil drawings, another person just did pen, like beautiful detailing. I don't think I can share their work because it would be inappropriate, but it was so cool. It was amazing. And so I think next time I might be brave and I might just take one sketchbook or one piece of paper prepped and I might just work on that the whole time. It would be really scary to spend so much time because it's always like a good 4 or 5 hours, and that kind of scares me, but I'm curious to see what I could achieve in one sitting that amount of time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We are currently the 28th of July, so there'll be a video coming out this week reviewing my July challenge, and then there'll be another video coming out for my August challenge. It will probably be the August challenge first on Thursday, I suspect, or maybe on Friday, and then the review will come out on the Monday, just because I've also got a lot going on here at the moment as well. And I hope that's okay. And thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please do give the video a like. I appreciate that. And let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I will see you again in the next video very, very soon. Take care. Bye. Somewhere on YouTube, you'll find me with my videos photos that will fill you with glee. Thanks for watching. Bye.